So welcome everybody. It's 7:30. Just letting everyone kind of get settled and join. This is our first Zoom non-webinar call. So welcome parents. I've got an overabundance of enthusiasm for today's meeting because we're presenting some really fun, hopeful resources, which I'm excited to have everyone talk about. And you know what? Look, this is the month of gratitude and we have a lot to be grateful for. So I'm just going to jump right in. And while people are joining in at their kind of own time frame, I will go through the rundown of what we're going to talk about tonight. So first of all, because we're on a traditional Zoom, if for some reason your microphone becomes unmuted accidentally and your dog is barking or your child is crying, feel free to make sure you're muted until we have the question and answer portion of the evening, which will come later in the middle part of the hour. And if for some reason a speaker feels like they're muted and they shouldn't be, you can always unmute yourself. So thanks for paying attention to that tonight. And let's just take a collective deep breath in, make sure both feet are on the ground and settle in for another 45 minutes of fun. So welcome. Tonight we, Alana and I, the co-presidents of the Weber HSA, are excited to present. We've got a presentation from the Weber librarian, Kate Hurd, who's amazing. We have information from the Port Washington Library. We're cooking up some really exciting things for everyone to do this Thanksgiving and beyond. We have an update by one of the greenhouse assistant principals, Danny Ciccone, on clubs. Really exciting news there. And we'll be talking a little bit about the Six Mix, which is coming up Friday. And then, of course, we'll hear from our fearless leader, Beth Javelin, and we'll get to ask her and her staff lots of questions. And I think that Jessica Zuckerman is here. She's the Blue House and Red 8 assistant principal. We've got Eric Mace, who is Yellow House and Red 6. And then we have Danny, 6. Oh, good. And then we have Danny Ciccone, who's Greenhouse and Red 7. There we go. So on the theme of giving hopeful information, I wanted to start out with a trivia question. I bet when the library girls join, they're going to know the answer to this. But while we're waiting on them to join, I'm going to see if anyone else knows. So the other night, my daughter and I played Scrabble, and we were checking out the amount of letters from each given character. So I'm wondering how many letters, how many number of letters are the number H in the Scrabble board? Now you can share your information in the chat. That'd be a great place to put it. But I'm also going to put up a screen share, so it'll give you a little bit of a hint of how many letters are in the Scrabble board. So see if you can see anything on this informational share screen there. So happy birthday, Beth Javelin. There are only 2 H's in Scrabble. There are not 3. So it's Beth Javelin, and there are not enough P's to spell principal. So happy birthday. From the parents' hearts to yours, we are so grateful for everything that you do. Thank you for providing a safe place for our children, and thanks for, having this great big hug. You and your team are doing a fantastic job, and I just wanted to say that up front. We're really grateful for you. Happy birthday. Woohoo! We're not going to sing. Well, I'm not going to sing.
Thank you.
Hopefully lots of people were singing to you earlier today. So without further ado, I think, is Kate on yet? I think so. Hold on. I was going to introduce Kate.
She'll be on in 6 minutes. I think you said 7:40.
Yep, terrific. Well, look at that. Me running ahead of schedule. My daughter would be shocked. Well, that said, Beth, would you like to just say hi and give everyone a, quick, how was your day? Day of birth. How nice of you to be here on your birthday. Come on.
Yeah. My kids are waiting to sing happy birthday to me after the meeting. So they're anxiously waiting for that. I said it has to come afterwards. But
keep it short.
It was a good day. It was a good day. It's definitely It always feels good to be at work and feel the love of the staff. So the staff actually surprised me with a wonderful video. So it was really very sweet. So, but thank you. I'm actually going to text Kate. Hopefully she will join us. She, will share what we're doing in our library, and Michelle's here to talk about what we're going to do with, they have the offerings in the public library, and there's lots of things that are out there that we could do virtually with our families, which I think is really important to get involved with, things in the community to help our students feel connected.
Yeah, I can't wait for so the Weber librarian, if you haven't had the chance to meet her, is just such a wealth of information. And I know you're all anxious to get started, so I will just reiterate, we're going to do some quick presentations about the resources that I promise you will make a difference. Maybe everyone's got some Thanksgiving plans that are slightly different than this year than they have been in the past. So we collectively came together and tried to think of ways to make this Thanksgiving special. So some of the ideas that will be presented tonight will help you for the holidays. And so if you haven't met Kate, she's so lovely. You're going to meet her in just a few minutes. She's such a wealth of information. We're going to have all of these resources on the Weber HSA membership toolkit page. So after this presentation, if you have any questions, you can certainly reach out to any of the HSA presidents, myself or Alana. And you also can find it on the membership toolkit page. We'll have all of this exciting stuff that we're about to tell you about in a few minutes on the Weber page.
Right. And before, since you brought up Thanksgiving, I'll just do my pitch. We want to be in school as much as we can. And for those of you that have been following the news, the city schools have now closed down. It is really, really important that our community helps us and supports us with keeping our kids safe, not going to parties, limiting your Thanksgiving celebrations. It's sad that we have to even talk about this, but it is so important that, our kids are not around other kids. The numbers are going up. And like I said, city schools did close today. They're closed for at least 2 weeks, maybe longer. And the only way that we could really stay in school is if our community really starts pitching in and helping us with wearing masks, not doing group gatherings, not doing sleepovers, and really, really trying hard to keep our kids safe. The virus is not spreading in schools, and we know that because it's a case here in this classroom. It's a case in a different classroom. If it was spreading in school, you would have multiple cases in one classroom, and we're not having that. So please, we really, really want the kids to be in school. So please, please, please support us in the community. I don't know what else to do other than plead with you, but it is important that our community stands with us in supporting that. I know it's hard for the kids. I know it's hard wearing masks all day and then going home, with masks on. I know the social part is really important, and we want our kids to be normal and be able to have play dates or hangout sessions in the middle school and not wear masks. But it's important that we do what we can to support us staying in school and being healthy. So, and Miss Hers is on, so I'm going to let you take it away.
Ooh, all right. So, Miss Hers, as I was just saying, is our amazing, wonderful Weber librarian. And she, from escape rooms to educational experiences, she has such a beautiful toolkit at her disposal. So there's from over 18,000 books in the Weber library to an unlimited amount of digital resources. There's only our imagination is what's limiting for finding ways to entertain ourselves this winter, according to the next few resources and slides you're about to see. So Kate, let me know when you're ready and I'll start sharing my screen and we can go through everything that we could have fun with in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, I think I'm ready.
Okay, awesome. If you want to say hi, you can while I'm.
Yeah, hi, and thank you for the wonderful introduction.
Yeah, of course. Okay, sorry for the delay. Oops. There we go.
Just have to present it.
I'm getting there. 1 second. Slideshow. There we go. Okay, sorry. Ta-da, Kate, take it away.
All good. Okay, so these are resources I compiled starting back even last spring with the lockdown, just to try to help students who were stuck at home. So yeah, we can go to the next one. So the first one is well, the first two slides are podcasts. And I just was thinking, the kids, they're on the screen a lot now, even now, but back then even more so. And this is great because, the kids can just plug in their headphones and listen to great podcasts. These podcasts right here, the current affairs for kids on this slide, I came across in a New York Times article this fall. So I have the link there if you wanted to get into either one of those, the Big Fib. And it's like, the students who I've spoken to or have seen recently, they're hearing a lot of things going on in the news. There's a lot going on in the news and they're curious. And this is just like great podcast, breaking it down and appropriate for young students, like middle school age. So, okay. And these are more podcasts. It's kind of a random bunch, but I know wellness and, dealing with stress and anxiety is another thing that students and everyone is coping with. So like the second one there, Peace Out, is a podcast about meditation and mindfulness. And there's just a lot of different, this is a miscellaneous bunch of podcasts I just put up here. Some kids are really interested in science, or the one on the bottom, The Alien Adventures of Finn, is a sci-fi serial. And the very last one, The Unexplainable Disappearance of Mars Patel, is supposed to be really great, got great reviews. So just ways that they can just listen and, use and some students are more auditory learners, so they might enjoy that. And the next bunch of resources are web comics. Students these days are very into the graphic novels and the graphic format. Last year, New Kid won the Newbery Medal, first time a graphic novel won that, prestigious award. So this is a way, they can obviously get graphic ebooks and check those out, but this is also an extension of that, like web comics online, which are kind of fun. Okay, and yeah, the digital escape rooms, I came across these. They're actually, I didn't create them, but they were created by many public librarians. And they're they're fun. And they're very educational too. Like the sixth graders study ancient civilizations. So like the second one there, Escape Like an Egyptian, it's like fun. They're going through a series of pages and have to answer questions and do different things or watch videos. But they're also learning, but it's really fun. So those are an assortment of digital escape rooms I put together. What do we have next? Okay. These are different videos. Some are on YouTube of authors, reading some of their work aloud. Lauren Tarshish, she's the author of the I Survived readers. I actually know her. She is living in the town where I grew up in Connecticut. But anyway, those are great. And I know a lot of the boys are into the I Survived series. A lot of the students I've spoken to recently are reading the, we're on the next slide. Okay. I was just going to say the Susan Collins, a lot of the kids are really still into the Hunger Games, series. So that's Susan Collins and, a couple different people. Yeah, we can go to the next one. Thanks. So health and mental wellness. The first Teen Health and Wellness is actually a really fantastic database we subscribe to at the Weber Library. So, any students can access it anytime. If they're home, the remote username and password is Weber MS, all lowercase. It's the same thing for the username and the password. The call map I just came across recently. And so a few other links and then some books. And the books on the bottom are really great. I currently added those to the collection, the Just Breathe and This Moment Is Your Life. Okay, yeah, and then just a few miscellaneous good sites. I don't know, I think, it's also really great, like I was saying before, if you can do things that aren't involving a screen. So like the Stay Well, Stay Inspired, that's from ALA, and it's coloring pages and also like writing prompts. Like some kids still like to write a diary or a journal. The DIY newspaper constructions is like what to do with the old print newspapers, the New York Times. And Chop Chop is this wonderful magazine we subscribe to at school, and we've used it in the FACS classes. And it's all recipes, great, simple recipes, and real kids like test the recipes. And then there's like different skills too. So I think, cooking can be a great thing to do if you're stuck at home too, and get off the screen. And yeah, and then what do I have there? Create your own comics. Yeah, that can be fun too. So that's it. I add things as I come across them that I think the students might enjoy, and take a break from all the pressure and maybe anxiety they're feeling of wearing the masks and everything else that's going on.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Kate. And everyone's asking, how do we get the information? I'm going to send that slide information. Can be found on the Weber. A lot of it can be found on the Weber library page, which is actually something that exists in the Weber website, the Carrie Palmer Weber website. And then we're going to post it on the membership toolkit website and blast it out. Maybe tomorrow, if everyone was interested, we'll blast it out tomorrow, so you have all this information. Not to mention, I've got family in San Francisco and Florida and Port Washington and New York, and we usually come together. This year we're not, so I'm doing it a big escape room. I'm going to take one of those escape rooms and do that for our family Thanksgiving. So thank you for that inspiration.
Yeah, and I just want to say in that slideshow, all of those things that are bulleted have hyperlinks, so you can jump right to where everything is.
Yeah, so we'll put those slides on the membership toolkit, and you can also check Carrie Palmer Weber, the library resource page, if you want to just go there right now. If you can't wait, go now, or otherwise you can get it first thing tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kate. We're really so grateful for you.
Thank you so much. Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, thank you again for taking time of your day.
No worries. It's all good.
So next up, we have the Port Washington Public Library, and they have tons of access to so much information. And they, the cool thing about the libraries is they get together and they subscribe to databases that we might not be able to afford on our own. So I can't wait to introduce you to Andrea and Kate, another Kate Mazur, Andrea Niederman and Kate Mazur from the Port Washington Public Library. Kate's in charge of the teen information, and Andrea's consumer relations. So if you want to start sharing your slides and just give the parents a lot more exciting information, we're ready.
All right, Andrea, are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for having us. My name is Kate Mansour. I'm the head of Adult and Teen Services at the Port Washington Public Library. And I'm here with Andrea Niederman, our head of community relations. So, of course, thank you so much for inviting us. And it was such a treat to see Kate Hers, my colleague and friend from the wonderful Weber Library. I've known Kate for many years. We are so lucky to have her as part of our school community, and we've collaborated many times in the past. So it was great to see Kate, and I see a lot of familiar faces and names here. So it's great to see everybody. Two of our other colleagues from the library are here, Lori and Michelle. So Lori and Michelle, if we do anything or mess anything up, just jump in and correct us. So like I said, thank you so much for having us, and I'm going to hand it off to Andrea to get us started.
All right, and before I get started, I just want to give everyone a big pat on the back for being here, for being parents during this pandemic. It is not easy, and you guys are all superheroes. At the library, we're grateful to have your support, and we're just so proud to serve this community. So props to you guys, and keep it up. You're doing great. And I want to change this one. Okay, so what's better than Cyber Monday? Not much. We're looking at a slide right now with some magazine subscriptions. We got a ukulele in here, Roku TV, comics, video games, a telescope, Pilates classes, all great gifts. But I got to tell you something. All of these things are accessible to you for free with your library card. So it's better than Cyber Monday. We've got tons of resources that we're going to share with you today on how you can have access to this. But the first thing you're going to need is a library card. So we put the link on the bottom. Any resident of Port Washington, and actually anyone who works in Port Washington is eligible for a library card. We mail them out to you, but basically the number on the back gives you access to all of these awesome in-person and online resources. The top 4 that we want to highlight that are kind of awesome in the entertainment realm are Libby, Canopy, Hoopla, and Creative Bug. Libby is our #1 kind of e-book and audiobook app. You can get it from the App Store, and there's also links from our website to download it. Any smart device you can use it with a smart device, and you can kind of instantly get your digital books. Canopy is an awesome alternative to Netflix. Lots of Criterion Collection movies, foreign films, documentaries, movies, TV shows. It's just a really great kind of educational resource in the movie realm. Hoopla is great for sharing or streaming music, lots of comics on there. And then Creative Bug is an awesome resource to get yourself off the screen. Lots of downloadable projects, templates, recipes, arts and crafts, videos. It's really wonderful. And you can get to all of these and more at pwpl.org/downloads.
And so in addition to all of those online and digital offerings, right now the library is well, not at this moment, but the library is open for patrons to come and visit. So we're very, very happy about that. You are limited, if you come to visit the library, to 45 minutes for your visit each day. And our hours are going to be listed on one of the slides that we show you in a little bit. You can browse for materials and take advantage of all of these services that you see listed here. If you're uncomfortable coming into the library building, we understand, we have you covered. You can do curbside pickup. So any of these resources that you see here, any of these services, if you need to print out a project or your kids need a report printed out, if you have printed a 3D print using our free 3D printing option for the month of December, or you need something scanned or faxed or even notarized, we can do all of that for you through curbside pickup. So you would just give us a call or an email, let us know what you're interested in, what materials you need, and we would put that together for you and have it available for you to pick up, contactless curbside pickup. So again, you have an option to either come into the building if you like, or you can do the curbside option if that's what you're more comfortable with. I think we can move it along. And we're also offering dozens of programs a month for all ages. So for children, for teens, and for adults, a wide variety of topics and in a variety of formats. So for example, the children's room did a few in-person programs in the garden, the children's room garden, when it was a little bit warmer out. Last week, we did a public speaking workshop for teenagers, and that was via Zoom. It was very successful. And next month, we're going to be doing a grab and go craft for teens and adults. So you can register to do the craft. It's going to be a beaded bracelet workshop. And once you register, we will put the materials aside for you. You can pick them up by either coming into the building, doing that curbside option as well. And then that particular program is going to have a link with the materials so that you can access the tutorial or the video, and you can do that at any time. Other programs that we do, we're calling them grab and go crafts. You would register, pick up the materials, and you would actually meet at a specific time on a Zoom meeting, and the presenter would go through the instructions in real time with you. So a lot of different options for our program offerings. And again, all of this information is on our website. But if you're interested in any of the programs, we really encourage you to sign up for our e-newsletter. So you'll get a weekly email blast that will let you know about that week's upcoming programs. So if any of these are interesting to you, the best thing to do would be to sign up for that email newsletter. I think that's that for that one. Okay. So in addition to all that fun stuff that we just talked about, we also offer a wealth of digital educational support. One of our most popular options is tutor.com, which is listed here. And tutor.com is students of all ages can get live one-on-one homework help every day between the hours of 2 and 10 p.m. on a wide variety of topics. So again, this is free one-on-one homework help through the library's webpage. You just click on tutor.com, and it's available to anybody with a library card. And it's also available in English and in Spanish. And then I also just wanted to mention one of the other resources, or two actually listed here, Mango and Pronunciator. Those are language learning resources. So I believe you can take Latin, Spanish, French, and Italian in middle school. And you can get help with all of those languages. You can create an account with Mango or with Pronunciator. And Pronunciator actually also has resources for English language learners. So again, if you need help with any of those resources, those two would be the ones to go to. And I think Andrea was going to mention a couple more.
Yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to lynda.com because I'm personally taking a couple of courses on it, and it's just a really phenomenal tool. It's like YouTube on steroids, everything you need right in front of you, really easy to search through. So if you don't have to start on level 1 if you're more acquainted with it, more advanced. And that's like any Photoshop. I'm learning InDesign, there's photography, kind of most softwares are on there. And it's awesome. And then Niche Academy there's a link on our website, and it's a little bit meta because it's a product that has 1-minute videos that teaches you how to use all of our apps. So if you are a little unsure about how to get on tutor.com, or you don't know, you want to learn a little bit more about Learning Express Library, you can go on our website, which the link is below, to the Niche Academy and kind of watch a 1-minute how-to video on how to get access to these apps. Also, RB Digital is a wonderful resource. Lots of e-magazines. So like I mentioned before, Vanity Fair and New York Magazine and a ton of others, as well as ebooks and other resources. In terms of mental health, the library does a variety of initiatives to help out everyone's mental health. Every month or so, we work with Project Help Long Island for a panel discussion. They bring in kind of experts in the field to talk about a variety of topics. I think this month is COVID and the holidays, and it's a Zoom event. Learn It Live is through RB Digital, and they have a wealth of mental health resources and classes. They have exercise classes, they have Pilates, and spirituality classes. It runs the gamut, anything you can envision, as well as our YouTube page, the PWPL YouTube page. We have yoga classes. Sometimes they're offered live, but the archive of previous yoga classes. We have Qi Gong, and I hope I'm saying that right, classes on YouTube, and a bunch more. And then the link below the community bulletin board link just has a bunch of resources from other places on the internet for mental health resources for teens and beyond.
And so these are our hours. As I said, these are our current hours. These are all obviously subject to change depending on the way of the world and what's going on. But we do offer, again, in-person services. You can come visit the library Monday, Tuesday, Saturday from 10 to 4, or Thursdays and Fridays from noon to 6. And then curbside is every weekday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 to 4. But we're always available online. So if you just go to pwpl.org, everything that we've spoken about is going to be available to you on the website. But we understand that people do sometimes want to come into the building or have that curbside option. So these are the hours right now.
Yes, and feel free to contact us. I am the person behind the Facebook page and the Instagram. I know Kathy reached out via Instagram. So if you want, just DM me, I'm here. You could also email us. I know Kate's behind adult services at pwpl.org. Anything you need, you can call us, email us, Insta, DM us. We're here for you.
Any questions, please let us know. As I said, we're so happy to serve you. We're very proud to be part of this community. And it really is a pleasure to serve you guys. So thanks so much.
Kate, Andrea, it sounds like from curbside printing to episodes of The Crown, you have us covered. There's not much left there. But if anyone would like to reach out, if you don't have a library card, please reach out and go ahead and register for one, because the resources there are really rich. So I really encourage everyone to do that. We'll also post all these links again on our website and membership toolkit with the Weber information, as well as this amazing resource, the Port Washington Public Library. Yeah. So Andrea, Kate, thanks for spending your time with us. I really appreciate it. That was so terrific. So thank you, ladies. And without further ado, you know what? Before we get to the club update, I have a couple of parents who have some questions. So if it's okay, we'll just kind of we'll do a little bit of re-navigating the timeline, which is we were going to do clubs and then six mix, but some of the parents have some pressing questions that they'd like to ask now. So if that's okay, we'll do questions and then we'll do a club update and then we'll do six mix. So the great thing about this Zoom format is that if any parent has a question, you can go ahead and unmute yourself or you can type it in the chat. I know one of the questions was about extra help and also about clubs. Are clubs going to be live ever this year?
Do we want to hold off on clubs and then Mr. Saccone will talk about clubs as a whole, or do you want me to answer the question? Right now, we're not doing live clubs because we're hybrid. So for students that are home, they wouldn't be able to partake if the club was live. So the reason we chose to do virtual is, one, from a management of numbers, we can make sure that kids are safe. Kids don't sign up for our clubs currently. We encourage as many students to come as possible. And when we don't know how many kids would be coming, we couldn't create a safe environment for them with social distancing. So as of right now, today, the clubs are virtual. If things change, down the line, we're always, open to reevaluating and looking. But for the moment, it was about making sure that students that are home would be able to partake in the clubs as well as the students that were in school.
Awesome.
And then the extra help question was?
The extra help question is, how does extra help work if you're live in school? Can help not be offered in one of the rooms with everyone in mask so the kids can interact with their teachers live?
So again, the hard part with live is we don't know how many kids would be attending that session, and we have to keep kids 6 feet apart. So being that it's open, we chose to do it that it's virtual. If a specific student has a difficult time in a class, please reach out to your teacher. Our teachers are offering extra help. There's on remote days, we're starting, if they haven't already, teachers are going to stay on for a little longer after the 30 minutes to provide some extra help. Many of our teachers, if you email them and ask them, if the student emails and asks them and says, I'm having a hard time, can you meet with me, to go over something? Our teachers are there and available and offer a lot of time for help of students.
I just wanted to add, I don't know, one of the reasons they don't do the live. Yeah, hi.
Andy, one of our math teachers.
Okay. One of the reasons we don't do it, I think, is because we want to keep the integrity of the pods. So that's why we don't do it on live days, because then it's harder to keep trace of what kids were in what pod.
Right, so for tracing as well. That's true. Thank you, Ms. Convey.
Yeah.
I have somebody send me a question that what's the procedure if there are some students that say they notice teachers might not be wearing masks all the time? How is that handled? And have you seen anything like that?
So we've gotten a few emails, not a lot. And I think sometimes what happens is our teachers need mask breaks too. But if someone feels that it is being abused, whether by a student or by a staff member, please reach out to your assistant principal or myself, and we will make sure that we speak with that person to make sure it's happening. We've gone into some pods where some kids were abusing it as well. We talked to them, and we will address it because we want everyone, students and staff, to be healthy and feel safe.
Next question, is there a reason why there's a switch in some classrooms from Google Forms to Kami? We've noticed that Kami is harder to navigate, slower, and sometimes it cannot save the work. Sometimes teachers could comment on the Google Forms, but in Kami you cannot.
So as always, we allow our teachers to use a platform that they're most comfortable with. So on a Kami doc, from what I know, and Eric, you might be able to speak more about the technology part of this, students can write information down and it becomes like a note sheet where a form is submitted and then students don't have access to that anymore, where this is becoming a note sheet that they keep in their files. I don't know if I use correctly, but.
That's absolutely correct. And Kami is one of the new applications that we have done training on. So, if that is something that the student is experiencing, that's great feedback. And we could definitely figure out, what may be happening and hopefully solve it.
Also, I would just say from a math perspective, Kami has an equation tool editor that Google Forms does not. So from a math perspective, Kami is a better app. Cami is usually reliable. They did have a system outage though, on this Monday, but it usually is good, but they did have, Cami itself had a problem on Monday.
I also want to comment. Hi, I'm Susan McAuliffe, reading teacher at Weber. Google Forms are great for quizzes and polls and questions. It's a different format than a Kami. Kami is excellent for comprehension, highlighting. It's citations. It's two completely different formats. But yes, Ms. Convey's right. Sometimes there are glitches with the Kami. And it's a little slow and it's a little more complicated in using because there's so many features to it.
Thank you for that. And I think this next question is regarding just maybe staff education. There is an orchestra teacher who takes a very long time doing attendance, and that takes up half the meet. So maybe just instructing teachers with different forms or quicker ways of getting everyone, accounted for, especially when they're big, giant groups. I don't know if there's a way to do that. You could talk about via Zoom or Google.
Right. So there are some third-party extensions that allow you to take attendance.
Expecting someone?
That is not my house. It's not me. I wish I could say it was, but it's not. But there are some third-party, extensions that we've been looking into. The district has to approve them. When that's third party, they're not necessarily vested, for lack of a better word, and we have to make sure that we're allowed to use them, and that by using them, we're keeping our kids and data safe.
That being said, I'm just going to interrupt. We just upgraded to
Nice.
a higher level of Google. So with the Google Meets now, the teachers are able to take attendance with Google Meets. So if the orchestra teacher is using Google now, they will be able to take attendance with that without having to do anything. It prints up automatically who is in the meet. So that shouldn't be an issue anymore. That being said, if it is something that you're finding that is a continued issue, I would reach out to your child's assistant principal so that they can then work with the orchestra teacher to take attendance more efficiently.
It's also, I think, important that students know that we're taking attendance. So it's important that our students know that it's valued, and then being present with cameras on and being part of a class is really important. So I think our teachers taking attendance is showing students that them being here and them participating in the classes is valued and important for instruction and learning.
And I just want to say also, the new feature on Google Meet lets us identify how long they stayed in the meet for. Very nice tool.
That is great to know. So the next question.
I'm sorry, I'll chime in on that a little bit. So we've been getting some phone calls here and there about my child was in the class. And what happens is they'll show up, they'll show their face, and then they'll shut their camera off. And then let's say it's Miss McAuliffe's class, she'll say, Kathy, answer, Kathy. And there's no response, which means that they're not really here and they're not really present. So logging onto a meet and not answering a question when a teacher asks you, or shutting off your camera, does not mean that you were in that class. So I think it's important that you share with your child, you're going to school, you're on camera because it is our classroom, and we expect that there to be interaction. And if a teacher calls on you, even if you don't know the answer, the same way if you didn't know an answer in your classroom, you could say, I'm confused, I don't know the answer, or you answer the question. But it's really important that you partake in the lesson and that you're there for the full time.
Yeah, very well said. Next question was, this is a nice question. What's the best way to deliver gifts to teachers and staff for the holidays?
Do you want me to give a quick answer to this from an HSA perspective? One way to thank a teacher and also give back to Weber at the same time is through our holiday appeal, which you'll be getting information about shortly, and that allows you to make a donation to Weber, and you will have the opportunity to send a note to your teacher, and so they will see that you have donated something on their behalf, and it's really meaningful for them to know that the parents are thinking of them, and that money ends up going directly back to the school for teacher grants and things that they want to do in the classroom. So it's really great all around.
And so if you're not doing that, because some people choose not to, your child could bring the gift in. They'll see their teachers on that specific day. And if they see them on an opposite day, I would just bring the gift on that day.
And if you're a fully remote family and you want to bring in gifts for your child's teachers, you can always leave them at the Weber Circle at the security desk, and they will distribute them. They will get them to the house office and distribute them for you.
Awesome. Thank you. Next question is, any plans to reevaluate the all virtual Wednesday? Wacky Wednesday.
I'll chime in, Beth, if you'd like me to. So at this time, we're always reevaluating everything that we're doing. We're constantly surveying students, we're surveying teachers. We have met with the board members and with central office to talk about Wednesdays. I know that there were some concerns brought up. We are in the process of figuring out if there are more things that we can incorporate onto Wednesdays with our schedules. We haven't made a decision to change the platform at this time to bring students in. I know that there is a push from some parents to try and maximize the amount of time that students are in the building. But as a building and as an instructional community, we still see the tremendous value that might not always be so transparent from the outside as to what Wednesday is providing to both the staff members in the building and being able to deliver the current curriculum that we have in the instructional platform, as well as our ability to connect with students. I was with a group of, and just so each of the administrators and guidance counselors meet each week now with students from their house, basically. So Ms. Javelin will be working with the Red House from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And we have these meetings to kind of talk about what is troubling students at each grade level. It's really good feedback to see if 6th graders are having a different experience than the 7th and 8th graders. You tend to see the 7th and 8th graders feeling the effects of the pandemic a little bit more than the 6th graders because they're used to what Weber was like prior to this. 6th graders seem to be pretty content with the fact that they're in the building and that they have new teachers for each period and so forth. But they give you tremendous insight as to what their experience is like. And so we use that. We created a document that we all share, that we enter all of the feedback that we're getting from the students. Some things that we never would have thought are things that they value and or would like to see changed. And we're constantly tweaking, not just Wednesday, but all of the programs that are being offered to try to address those concerns. I think somebody had said it earlier, this day and age, nothing seems to ever be consistent. And so we'll keep looking at that and taking feedback. And if there are things that are coming up that we or you as a parent are noticing, please bring it up to either the guidance counselor, your teachers, your assistant principal, and we'll continue to try and find a way to make the program as strong as possible for students. But we don't turn a blind eye to the pulse of the community. We hear everything that comes in. The thing is that we're servicing 1,300 plus students and families, and that brings with it 1,300 different experiences and needs. And so we're trying to manage it all collectively.
And you may have just answered this, but just specifically a question popped up about the remote days length of time on screen. Can that be longer?
So it's interesting you brought that up. So you're saying, so on remote days
last time.
On Wednesdays, are we talking about the regular remote
Tuesdays and the other days, the days the kids are home on the computer?
So Beth had touched on that a little bit earlier. We are trying to maintain a little bit of a balance between time on the screen and instruction, as well as students not, becoming disinterested or disenfranchised with being in front of a screen all day long. And so today in my group meets, I had two 6th grade boys, and one of them was saying that he prefers the, well, for this particular group, it was a Tuesday, Thursday hybrid. He said he prefers the Tuesday, Thursday group remote days because he gets 15 minutes in between to go check in with his parents or to go outside and take a deep breath, and it like gives him something to look forward to throughout the day, those short breaks. Some of the other kids are saying they like pet their cats, and then all different things that go on. And on the Wednesdays where we truncate the day, and now you have the 30-minute blocks and they kind of go back to back, they said that it makes the day feel much longer, that they don't have those breaks in between. But at the same time, which was interesting, which I had never really thought of, or I don't think has ever been brought up, they said the classes get started quicker on those days because kids go from one to the next and they're not waiting for a few minutes for every kid to show up and get started. And then a teacher starts the class, and then 5 minutes in, a new kid shows up and says, "Oh, excuse me, what are we doing? Or what should I be taking out?" Which was really interesting. And that's why we started to have these sessions, because, it's coming from their mouths directly, and they're the ultimate, user in this whole thing. So, again, right now, we're trying to assess it. We're trying to make it, we'll continue to try and tweak it and work with our building, and our building instructional committee is a mix of board members. It's a mix of central office, building level at each type of position within the building. And like I said, we're surveying students. We get a lot of feedback from parents, and all of that gets taken into consideration. So, we're hoping that as the year progresses, we'll get to a place where everybody feels like things are moving in the right direction for their individual needs. But there are a lot of needs, and there are a lot of students. And, we have students who want to be in the building as much as possible. And then we have a population of students who we can't keep in the building. This whole hybrid model and being in a pandemic has really done a lot on them from a social and emotional standpoint, and being in person with other students. And so we're trying to address those concerns as well.
Thank you.
Right, and it also allows our virtual students 3 days of being with their students in the same platform, which is really important to us. So it's 2 days where they're live streaming and not necessarily feeling as connected, but where our virtual students now could really be connected with our students in person because they're all together on the same platform.
So on just to a recap of that, Danny, I think when the staff is not there on the remote days, if there's a substitute needed and there's not enough substitutes to show up, what is the plan for remote when kids are home and they have no teacher? What happens? Like, what's that? That's been the experience of one child in an ELA class.
Yeah. So there's. Oh.
No, go ahead, Dan. If you want to take it, that's fine.
Okay. Subs actually come through the Blue House, so that's why Miss Zuckerman felt. But really, the no subs on remote days has nothing to do with us not having staffing. It's really more focused on the fact that it's not possible for a sub to be able to gain access to a teacher's Google Classroom, to their Google Meets, to then run an instruction. So we do asynchronous work in those situations where the students would be provided with an assignment. Teachers posted in the stream, I'm going to be out tomorrow. These are the things that you'll need to be covering. I'll provide feedback to you, if they're able to, depending on, the severity of why they're out. We have teachers who are out for long-term reasons because they've had surgery or something that's come up, who are still monitoring their classrooms and responding to students and coming up with lessons for each week and providing assessments and so forth. So just because the teacher isn't physically there for that 43-minute block doesn't mean that they're not giving meaningful work. It's really created a lot of opportunity for us to make sure, I mean, any given year, regardless of the circumstances, teachers are out. I mean, that's part of it. And having a sub providing a lesson sometimes isn't as efficient as a teacher being able to provide the lesson into their Google Classroom and give, you know, direct feedback to the students and collect it. So there have been some really, I guess, there's been some silver lining with the fact that the circumstances we've been forced into have really forced us to get creative. They've forced us to be able to embrace technology in a different way, find ways to be more efficient. And some of the things that we thought beyond our control before are now a little bit easier for us to try and manage and stay on top of. You know, students who in the past have had difficulty maintaining a binder now have everything in a Google Classroom. You know, that's a big executive functioning win for us. So, you know, I think that students, staff, and parents as well, you know, will continue to evolve as the year goes on, and as we hear about things where students are struggling with, you know, a connection for a certain program or so forth. When it comes to our attention and we can talk about it, that's when we bring in more professional development. Mr. Mace has been tremendous, probably because he's the youngest of the APs, and figuring out a lot of the technology with the new platforms out there and helping to provide PD and resources. And it's really a collaborative effort across the board with everyone. I mean, if there was ever a time for partnership, this is it.
So true. Partnership is needed. And we want to get Principal Javelin with her family partnership to wish her a happy birthday. So we got 2 more questions. We'll make the answers fairly concise, and then we will go to an update with clubs and Six Mix, and we'll wrap it up.
Okay. I just wanted to mention there was 2 questions about cell phones.
Yes.
We should be creating our workspace the same way we would want our students working inside the school. There is no reason they would need a cell phone if they are struggling to get on and need to text their friend because they can't find the Google code. They should already have it. Teachers are using the same codes that they use all the time. There really is absolutely no reason for a student to have their cell phone during the school day, whether they're in school or they are remote. Hope that helps, because what's going to happen, just for any of you, I mean, even as adults, right? If our cell phone's next to us and we're in a meeting, we could be texting, we could be talking to somebody or checking in on something or checking email. Our kids can't concentrate with another device there, right? So if the Xbox is in your room, in their child's room, they could be playing Xbox. A lot of times we've seen the cameras go off and the kids are playing on their cell phone, and other kids will tell us, oh, they're texting me during class. Kids should not be texting anyone during class. If there's a question, they should be asking the teacher the question. There is really no reason they would need a cell phone for anything at any point during the school day.
And to follow up on that, kids should not give other kids Zoom passwords to classes that aren't their own. So if you find, or just make a general announcement to your house, all parents, I did this tonight because I was like, okay, I found out some.
So there were 2 classes today that students in our building got into, and the only way that other remotely, yes. The only way a student can get into that class is if you give them that code. So what happened today is those kids come in and they sometimes play loud music or they try to do something to distract kids. It's middle school, so some of it is somewhat age appropriate, but it's not really appropriate. And our teachers are working really, really hard to try to get their curriculum across and to teach the students. So it is a distraction. To me, it's no different. Don't give your alarm code out. Don't give your keys to someone. Don't tell them your locker combination. No one should be knowing anyone's Zoom code other than the students that are in the class. And I can't commend the teachers enough really for the hard work that they're doing this year. We are still learning. This is all new to us. March, we were thrown out of the building and basically said, teach remotely without us being trained. And we've been doing tremendous amounts of staff development for our staff at Weber to try to get them up and running with new technology to really deliver curriculum in a way that students can understand it. So the support from you as parents to speak to your child about how to behave during a class, to speak to your child about not giving out a Zoom code, to speak to your child about if you were to get someone's Zoom code that you don't go into a class to disrupt it. all of that's really important. And if they know someone that's doing it, to stand up to that person and say, don't do that. This is my education. I want to learn. It's really, really important.
And then last but important question is testing. So is there a way to coordinate testing? Because some kids, a lot of kids seem, especially in 8th grade, seem to have multiple large tests and projects due on the same day.
So I can certainly touch base on that. So absolutely, we do encourage our teachers, and they work together, and they do try to coordinate that. This year, obviously, there are additional challenges. How do we assess what a student really knows when they're taking the test online? It kind of goes back to that cell phone. I can certainly post a Google form. I can lock the computer. I can make it set so that computer will only be on the test, but I can't necessarily control what's outside of this computer screen, whether they have another computer or cell phone. So we are trying to balance whether it's remote testing, in-person testing. It's a good ongoing balance, and we are continuing to improve.
Also, I just want to jump in. There's also some nuances about testing in person that you can't replicate when students take an exam online. If I'm a student in a classroom and I have a question for my teacher about a particular question on the test, I raise my hand, the teacher comes over, and they can maybe explain something, they can guide me, they can speak to me about something that I need explained on the test, and that is something that you can't do remotely. So that's definitely something else that I know that is an important factor for the teachers when they are giving exams, to be able to have those interactions with the kids, to be able to answer their questions that happen in the moment. And when you're in a Google Meet or a Zoom Meet and the kids are taking an exam, you don't have that same feedback and interaction that you would normally have when you're having that in person. So that's also an added piece for teachers in wanting to assess their students in person. Obviously, that's different for our fully remote students, but that's something that we can't navigate around in the same way. But for our students that are hybrid and are in the building, that definitely is something that I know teachers are looking at. And it is hard because the students are in the building only 2 days a week. For the 8th graders who are taking accelerated classes, those classes move at a much faster pace. They do have tests more regularly, and those are a bit more difficult to schedule. But the teams do talk, they do coordinate. This year, it's obviously a bit more challenging in that same sense. But it is definitely something that they are working on, and with everything else, they will work to get better as the year progresses.
And I think a good testament to the fact that taking the exam in person has a little more rigor is if you ask any of the teachers on, there's about a 10% increase in absences on the days that a test is given where students decide to go remote that day. So there's definitely some correlation there.
I just want to also say there are certain times of the year that there's more that would happen more often than not. And I know this week in particular, because of the holiday next week, people want to get their test in, because if they give it on Tuesday, it might be a whole nother week before you even see those kids again because of the long holiday. So certain times of the year lead to that problem also.
So with that said, I know people had questions about construction and a couple of other questions, and I'm excited to get to them, but let's talk about the clubs really quickly, 6 Mix, and if we still have a few minutes left, we'll get to the extra questions. So Danny, tell us about the clubs that all the kids are loving. They're signing up like, Cracker Jacks.
Yeah, sorry, I had to plug my laptop in. So yeah, I mean, I know we're short on time, but I'll just give a quick plug. A big part of the middle school experience is getting involved. It's getting involved in new activities, meeting new students. This year especially, we're limited on how many different students you're exposed to. And so the best way to be able to, and the safest way to get kids interacting beyond their pod is through the club experience. So we worked very hard and we were able to finally get approval to start to open up our clubs. And right now, I'll just quickly read off the list of clubs we're running. We're running an art club, chamber orchestra, drama club, our GSA club, the Global Thinkers, jazz band, newspaper club, peer leadership, science Olympiad, a science club, the yearbook club, a resource room homework club, our music technology club, which we're hoping will continue. That is a grant funded club, which we still haven't gotten the funding for, but the advisor, Ms. Friedman, was nice enough to get it going because so many kids were interested. And I think she's getting something like 40 students to participate each session. So we're going to continue to push to hopefully get Hearts to fund that for this year. And then we're also in the process of adding chamber orchestra, bucket drums, jazz workshop. And Kathy, is it okay if we bring up the that other club that we were? Okay. So again, partnership with the HSA. We had a discussion about students and trying to help find ways to help them develop skills to be able to kind of cope with all that's going on here. So we found an advisor in the building, Ms. Holacek, who is a phys ed and health teacher in the building, and her and Kathy have been working together to create the Weber Wellness Club. And I'll just quickly read to you the announcement that Ms. Holacek's going to send to the students. I'm pleased to announce that we'll be starting a new virtual club this year called the Weber Wellness Club. The club will focus on improving health and wellness, relieving stress, encouraging self-care, and promoting social connections. All students at Weber are welcome to join this club, and they will be meeting at 4:30 on every Tuesday, starting with this upcoming Tuesday. And then some highlights. So we've run the clubs for approximately 2 weeks. They're running anywhere between 10 and 50 students each session. It seems to be a similar correlation between the clubs that were getting 10 in years past are still getting 10, and the clubs that were getting the 50 in years past are still getting the 50 kids to participate. We're hoping to get those groups of 10 up to 50 since we don't have a lot of other things interfering like after school sports and things that we're not running at the same time. So please encourage your students, your children, to get involved. We have a clubs tab right on the Weber homepage. It has a list of the clubs, the times they're going to meet, the Google Classroom. They can just try them out. There's no commitment. They can just try a different one each week or every day if they wanted to pop in and out, connect with the teachers. There's also videos and like little brief overviews of what each club is. But just to kind of give you an idea, newspaper club is they're already writing articles for the newspaper. They're going to do at least 2 publications. You don't have to write an article. You can create comics. You can make puzzles up. They're always looking for new innovative ideas. So any of your children who you feel like would do well with being involved with a group like that, they do a mid-year and an end of the year publication. Art club, 50 students have been showing up. They're making signs for around the building for all the different safety protocols that we have, trying to take something that seems a little bit stoic and mundane and make it a little bit more lively and creative. They made cards for the Navy SEALs. They're doing a whole bunch of different collaborative projects. We created a science club this year, which is off of our science Olympiads. And the science club's open to any students. It's not a competition. They're trying to make science really fun and engaging for students, especially in this world where they don't get too many opportunities to do hands-on things. One of the things they're doing right before Thanksgiving, I guess at their next meeting, is they're going to be teaching the kids about the science behind butter, and they're going to have them churning butter for Thanksgiving dinner. I think they made rock candy last week. Jazz band, kids are working virtually through a smart music program. Our peer leadership club is doing a program called Change Makers, where they identify community members who have helped support change in the community, and they're creating their own awards that they'll give to those people. It's actually extremely rewarding for the students to recognize the good in others. Like I said, our music tech club has about 30 students showing up for each session. They learned last week how to do video and making projects. 2 weeks ago, they did Band Lab, where they were making up their own songs, and now they're moving on to a long-term project where they're going to create and compose and edit their own music videos. Drama Club, 40 students showed up for the first meeting. They're doing improvisation games. They're going to have guest artists join them and talk about the arts. They're looking to create at least one live performance for the spring. Also, our yearbook club has already been meeting. They've had the students meeting with our vendors who publish our yearbooks to work on, start learning how we're going to do it virtually. They also help coordinate this year's picture day. So yeah, I mean, we're running on. I don't want to take too much time out of yours, but as you can see, there's a lot of really good activities. The one thing that we need are students to get involved. So please encourage your kids to reach out and check out that website.
There was a question about Math Olympiads. So normally Math
And
Olympiads,
science.
right? Math Olympiads is normally not a club at Weber. It's normally an in-school program. We are in the process of creating it as a club for 1 year only. And as soon as that's rolled out, the information will be shared with the parents.
And Science Olympiads is running. They've got a link on the website, and through that Google Classroom, students who are interested will get all the information about what's required to try out. That is a competition team, so it doesn't have as many students. It's not an open enrollment, but not all, but many of the Science Olympiad programs and competitions are all being hosted virtually this year, and the advisors are in the process of converting everything for the students.
And to have your child sign up for the clubs, we put the link in the chat, so you can just click there and look through everything. And you could also go to portnet.org and check on the Weber website. And then Denise has her hand raised. Denise, would you have a question? This is that situation where you're like, the video is off but the hand is raised. Denise, do you have a question?
We'll check with the House office to see if she was really there.
Maybe not.
Update her attendance.
Yeah, so you could test it out right here in real time. And then, thank you. That was so great. That was like, yay, we have communication happening and connection for kids. So I think the clubs are really an important way for kids to get to, do something fun together. In addition to
you should try out clubs. Like, you don't have to sign up today and keep going if it's not for you. This week it might be good for you. 2 weeks it might not because you have another commitment. But we encourage kids to try out, to come when they can come, and be involved as much as they can.
And can you just confirm that even if there's a club that meets on a day or a morning that your child is in school, they can log on before school and then log off? They can log on and do it on the way to school. They can come to school I think as early as 7:15.
Yeah.
And log on in their home base, so they can still join the clubs even if it's on a day that they have to be in school.
Yeah, and absolutely, and also the clubs are somewhat asynchronous as well. So there are meetings where they're meeting and interacting, but then they're also assigning students to subgroups where they're working collectively and collaboratively on projects that you don't have to be there. That gives it a little more flexibility where students can kind of make up their own time frame and schedule. And if your child would like to participate and but for whatever this issue is that they can't be on at the time of the club, reach out to the advisors. The advisors we had to set up a schedule where we tried to find what worked for both the advisors. We're also asking our teachers to cut into their own personal lives, because now clubs are either running early in the morning, or, which has happened before, but now we're running them at 4. We have clubs that are running at 5:30 in the evening, trying to accommodate students. And so when you have your own children at home and your own life, the later in the evening you get, the harder it becomes. But they're absolutely flexible in trying to find ways and be open-minded to it. All right, let's see if we can shift it to a different time and make it work. And we've already had many of those changes. And I know that because every time they make a change, I have to change that entire website. So, hopefully we'll find a time that works for everyone.
And speaking of ways to connect kids, Alana, tell us what's happening Friday for all the 6th graders.
Okay, so Friday night is going to be our 6 mix. It'll be obviously a little different this year. It's going to be virtual. We have a really great DJ running it, and he's going to do all kinds of games and events, and could have your kids running all over the house. There will be prizes for winners, and I think it will be a lot of fun. So far, we have a really nice turnout. A lot of people have RSVP'd. It's totally free. So I think it'll be a great way for kids to see some friends, to have some fun, and give them something fun to talk about when they get back to school after the weekend. So we'll send out another blast tomorrow, just so you have it in your email and you can register on the link and get all of the information.
Terrific. And then we will also send out the library information in that same email, but probably closer. The library information will probably come Monday. That'll be in your inbox, so check for that. And then a couple of last questions just to wrap it up. When the kids are at home and they have to take a test, and other kids are not following the proper protocol for test taking, what's the best course of recourse for that? That's from a parent.
I'm not sure I really understand that question.
I mean, it sounds like maybe there's.
Here's what, in general, we should all be worrying about our own child, right? So if our own child is following the protocol, they're learning and they're doing what they need to do. If the child at home is not and they're cheating, that doesn't necessarily mean that your child's not learning. So I think it's really important that we're teaching our own individual children what is expected of them and what you expect of them as parents. And it's all based on what their learning is. And yes, our kids have more anxiety sometimes and things like that. But I also think it's really important that we teach them the skills and the kids the skills, right? They're going to have tests their whole entire life. They're going to have quizzes. A quiz and a test are different. They're valued differently. I don't believe there is any teacher at Weber that gives a surprise quiz or a surprise test. Kids often know about it weeks in advance. There's often study guides. Teachers go over and play Kahoot and play different Quizlets and different things. Teachers post extra help questions for them to do. So there's many opportunities for students to study and to do work. If students are cheating themselves, right? So if a student does really well at home and they're getting 90s, and let's say they go into acceleration next year, they may struggle because they don't really have those skills. So when students cheat, they cheat themselves. We don't compare if your child is better than the next one. We're not comparing one child to the next. It's really important that we look at children individually and that we teach our students what they should be doing based on expectations. If kids are plagiarizing, we call them out on it. We talk to them about it. We explain why they shouldn't be doing that. If children cheat on a test and they're caught, they may get a 0. We often have a parent that may call us and say, I can't believe you're giving my child a 0. They're only in middle school. That's right. They're only in middle school, and now's the time for them to learn that it's not right. And we do take those things really seriously. We want to come and protect our children. We are the first ones, the first line of defense is the parents. But it's also important that we teach them skills and we teach them how to study and we teach them how to take notes, or what's the importance of taking notes, and why is homework important and why is studying important. So when we know that someone's cheating, we will address it. So I don't know if I'm answering the question that the parent was asking.
I would like to add, of course, it's me speaking again. When I give them the same questions with different numbers, so they don't know that. And then you could tell they're cheating because they have the right answer for the wrong question. It's not on their test.
So the good news is no kids are cheating. I misunderstood the question. So the good news is apparently no kids are cheating. That was not the intention for the question. I just didn't understand it. If the parent is available to ask a question, it'd be so helpful because
I'm right here. Here. I've been typing like crazy, saying I'm unmuted, waiting, saying to please stop. It's Jean Marie Lavigny. Hello, everybody. No, in my son's accelerated math class, his tests are routinely when he's scheduled in school. And when he's scheduled in school, a bunch of kids decide they're going to stay home.
Right.
Now, my child does the right thing, Mrs. Javelin, so I don't need someone teaching me about my son's integrity.
I follow the rules, I follow protocol. However, in not just accelerated math, but in all classes, there is a comparison of others. For instance, in one accelerated math test, a good portion of the class did not finish the test. So the teacher knew there wasn't enough time to finish the test. But if you have a bunch of kids at home who have it easier and they can, they're more relaxed and they can finish the test, it is not a good comparison. If you have children who always stay home when there's a test to be more comfortable, that's not good comparing to the kids who are partially in school or partially at home. So I'm seeing routinely that kids don't show up for tests. Like my child goes in on Tuesdays and Fridays when he's supposed to. Not everybody does. There is comparison because if a certain percentage of the kids don't do well on the test, the teacher knows that maybe they missed the mark. Maybe the whole class doesn't understand something. But when you have, you don't, and they're supposed to mix it up where not every kid who's in person is having a test in person or at home. Usually it's mixed up. I know for my daughter, it's mixed up. But if you have kids who are constantly taking it from home, it's just an unfair advantage. And it does create stress and anxiety for your child who is always following the rules when they're seeing kids around them not following the rules. And I really don't want any more life lessons for my son that other people cheat and it stinks. We have enough of those lessons.
So I didn't mean it in that way that you took it. I just meant in general. Your child is, in my opinion, is not being compared. If kids that are supposed to be in school and are home during a test, they are getting phone calls from their teachers or from their assistant principals that they're not to be home taking that test. So it's not something that we are ignoring. It's something that we are aware of. Often teachers would put a lock on a test and we don't even have it ready to give a student if they're home because we didn't, have enough. That wasn't what the plan was. So if kids are supposed to be in school taking a test, then that is the expectation. There was a letter that went out from Dr. Mioli that if you're remote, you're a remote kid. If you're in school, you're an in-school kid. And we are asking parents that to maintain that. And clearly when parents are saying they're nervous because the numbers are going up, we can't hold parents from keeping their kids home. But we do expect that you're in school. Our teachers make copies for kids that are in school. They don't necessarily share the documents if kids all of a sudden decide to stay home. It is becoming very challenging for the teachers as well. So we are aware of that, that kids are trying to do that. And that is the reason why I was pleading to the parents that it's important your child is doing what they should be doing. And I do not believe that teachers are comparing kids to what's happening at home to the children that are inside the building.
No, it's not comparing them to at home. It's just that in general, it is easier to take a test when you're sitting in your own comfort zone and it is easier. So, usually the teachers mix it up where they don't have the kids who are in person always taking the test in person, or the kids who are home are always taking it at home. But when you have parents who say, okay, it's easier for you to take the test at home, stay home today and take the test, that is not, there is a difference. It's mixed up for a reason. So you have that comparison.
And there's several different teachers that are giving different tests. I know one of the 6th grade teachers gave an open book test, I think 2 weeks ago, and there were kids saying, I can't use my notes because that's cheating. There's kids that are, teachers are giving projects. We don't just assess on tests, we assess on homework, we assess on projects, we assess on what they say in the classroom. There's lots of different assessments that are happening throughout the day. The science does labs, we get assessed on labs. So there's many different ways how we assess children. And if a parent has a concern with a teacher, please reach out to the teacher. I am sure the teacher can explain why they're choosing to do what they're doing. As far as accelerated classes, the stakes are higher. We have a Regents. We may have a Regents at the end of for our 8th graders for both Earth Science and Common Core Algebra, because that is, not canceled. And we need to make sure that our students are prepared to take those exams and do well on those exams.
Well, I am so grateful for oh yeah, go ahead, Alana.
Just really quickly, this is probably a pretty easy tech answer, hopefully. Somebody wants to know, and she asked a few times, is there a way to block YouTube on the Chromebooks?
No, because many of our teachers are using YouTube as an instructional tool. So if we blocked it, the students' accounts are junior accounts. They don't have the same access, but yeah, many of the videos and stuff that they tend to watch do fall under that child parameter. But we can't stop them from going on there without shutting it off. And then if that's the case, there are a lot of instructional videos. We have programs that actually allow teachers to edit YouTube videos and add comments and stop it and voice over it for themselves as an instructional tool. So no, unfortunately, we can't stop it. And the reality is if we shut it off on YouTube, then they'll go to their phone or something else and they'll find a way. But I do think that Miss Javelin's kids are young and they're waiting to say happy birthday. It's almost 9 o'clock now, so we should try to respect that.
Yeah, there was one more question about communication, but I just can't find it in the chat. So listen, my best advice for anyone who still has unanswered questions, reach out to your assistant principals. There's such a wealth of information, as you just heard here. And thank you, Jessica and Eric and Beth, for giving us all of your time and taking such good care of our children, because that's our most valuable resource. With that, I'm going to sign off, and we will definitely pick this up next month. So join us in December. And with that, happy birthday, Principal Javelin. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. See you next month.